Greeting and welcome to the Intensive Success Growth. I am your host, Nishant Sharma. Please give warm welcome to our guest, Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor is a result coach at Taylor Consulting. So, welcome, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Nishant.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Probably my biggest influence was when I was 22 years old, I answered an ad to sell cars. And before that, I was a police officer. And um, when I graduated high school, I didn't go to college. And so I had a wife and two kids. And my law enforcement career was kind of the door was closing on that. And so I took a chance and answered an ad to sell cars. And this was in 1989. So I had no idea how many cars you were supposed to sell, how you sold them, how you talk to people, how you find nothing. And I happened to be so fortunate to go to work with a gentleman who ended up being a second father to me. And part of what he did was he had us role play. So we would video record the three of us that got hired. We would be in a room for 8 hours a day, learning about product, learning about selling. But not only that, what he had me do is he bought me a set of cassette tapes from a guy named Dr. Dennis Waitley, and it's kind of motivational, but scientific and psychology about how to have your mind in the right place and things that you can do in order to do that. And so I was fortunate where I lived 30 minutes away from where I worked. So every day I would drive to work and listen to one side of a cassette tape. And then on my way home, I'd listen to the other side. And I wore those cassette tapes out, programming myself with positivity. And in sales, the biggest thing that we deal with is being told no 80% of the time. And most people just can't deal with that rejection, right? It's like going to a junior high school dance and the first four girls you ask to dance tell you, no, you're ugly, your breast stinks, I don't like you, right? And then you still just as excited, instead of leaving the dance and tucking your tail between your legs and being embarrassed that you've been turned down so much, you ask the fifth girl, just as excited and just as hopeful, will you dance with me? And she says, oh my gosh, yes, Nishant, I've been waiting for you to ask. So that's kind of what it's like. And I was fortunate enough, the gentleman's name is Dwayne Reed, and I owe so much to him for helping me back then.
Okay, amazing. So, what are the top three reasons why do people fail?
Um, well, they don't go all in. So they have a safety net, right? You've probably heard of the story of burn your ships, right? Where supposedly that captain came over with the three ships and they get off on the island and his army's ready to go and he lights his ships on fire and we've got two choices. We take the island or we die. And so I really think the biggest roadblock is not having the all-in mentality, whatever it takes. And that's one. The second thing is preparation. But we have to be careful with this because there are so many people that are frozen in analysis, paralysis by analysis. They want everything to be perfect before they have their kid, before they get married, before they take a job or try something different or join the gym. I just think there's a carpentry term here, and it's called measure twice and cut once, meaning, and especially today in this technological age, we have more than enough information available. So if you want to make an investment, you can research it. You can make some phone calls. You can talk to some people. Is this a better investment than this? I've seen people that want to start their investment, but literally they take 6 months worried about a tenth of a percent difference rate of return, and they never earn back what they'd have done if they had just picked what seemed best at the time and then adjust once you're in. So that would be the second thing: prepare and then do, and then consistency. Action and activity outproduce thinking about it always. So I think the great quote is a good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan not executed. So, so that I guess those would be the three things.
Okay, amazing. What's your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Well, I have so many. My greatest failure story would be two. I have two. I have personal and I have professional. Personal, it's getting divorced, being married very young, not being a good husband or a father, and giving up and bailing. And the reason I have recovered, I'm a better person now than I've ever been. But it's so easy to, once you bail on something, it's easy to hit that escape hatch quicker and quicker and quicker, going forward. And then and probably because of my ego, not asking people for help, or listening, or you know uh, taking my wife's word for when there's a problem, doing something about it. And then my second biggest failure is, I opened a gym years ago, and launched and had a great instant response, more members than I could possibly handle. And then when the summer rolled around, two-thirds of my members stopped paying, and my expenses went through the roof, and I ended up failing in that particular business. And so how I recovered was that preparation, counting the cost before going into it, and having enough capital to plan on those things. So the businesses that I've launched since have all been successful. So, but without that failure, I wouldn't have realized how much preparation needs to go into, and having that support staff in place ahead of time.
Yes.
Personnel, people, friends, counselors.
Okay. So, what are your top three success secrets that other can model from you?
The uh, the Nike statement, just do it. Right. Again, it's activity. So back in the day, Zig Ziglar, those early on, Og Mandino, all those, read, read with the purpose to learn and apply, not just to check off, I read a book, right? So actively read. So that's one. To me, the most important thing is faith, right? You have to have faith. Uh, God created us, and He has a purpose and a plan for us, and being in tune with that, paying attention to what that is. But it all comes down to action. If you drag out all of your tools and all of your materials, and you have a perfect blueprint, but you never make that first cut and start putting it together, you'll never get anything built. So again, we can adjust once we're in it, right? So if your first cut's a little bit off, we can fix it with the next cut and the next cut. But if you never cut the first one because you're so afraid it's not going to be perfect, you'll never get anything done. And I promise you, there are so many gifted, talented, blessed individuals that aren't doing anything of note, nothing of worth, because they don't do.
Okay. How any can one turn their knowledge, like books knowledge, to action?
Well, we all have different learning types, and that's something that we need to be in tune with. So, do I learn by listening? Do I learn by doing? Do I learn by watching? Is it a combination? So, so one of the downfalls, Nishant, is only reading or listening or studying people that you agree with, right? Because and now be careful here, because I'm not suggesting to put something into you that is against everything you believe, right? So I don't believe that any Christian should expose themselves to other teachings. I think that opens the door to some bad things, right? So I also don't think if you lean right or you lean left politically, then you get your source from what you agree with, but also always measure that and be open-minded enough to say, is there truth in this? And then actively seek people to provide you input, but be big enough not to argue against that. So if I want to improve in an area, I have to know where I am. And usually where I think I am isn't where I am. Right. So if I want to know, how good a shape I am, I could think I'm this great looking, physically fit, healthy individual. I can go run a marathon and I'm checking out before the first mile and I'm puking my guts up, right? So at some point in time, you have to be honest with yourself and with others. I think that's what it truly comes down to. The only way that we're ever going to make a change is for it to be important enough. And unfortunately, what happens is most people wait until they're at the bottom. Their alcohol has destroyed their life, their drug addiction, their obsessive compulsive behavior, right? Their physical health, their smoking, drinking, whatever. So I think asking other people, find people that you admire that have been there where you were, and then you'd be amazed that almost everybody is willing to tell you their story and keys to get unstuck. And then I'm huge on paying someone who knows how to help you, right? So I guarantee you, a personal trainer can save you years of pain and grief and failure, and it's worth what, as long as, now find ones that are good ones, right? When you see the personal trainer that is a chain smoke and it doesn't look like he lifts weights and other than cheeseburgers, right? Don't hire that guy, right? So, but just because they look great doesn't mean they can then coach you. They could have great genetics, but really it's about, I think you have to be honest with yourself. And the most important thing, Nishant, do it for you, or do it because you want to, not because somebody else says this is what you should want. All right. So whatever you desire to have, make sure it's what inside of you desire. That's inside of you, and part of you, and what you were created to be.
So, what's your company motto?
uh Measure twice and cut once. So start now. That's it, right? So we have to be an action ministry, right? So our life is ministry, our gifts are ministry, right? The only way that we can impact others is, have you ever flown, Nishant? You ever flown anywhere? You know how they tell you if there's turbulence and the oxygen leaves the plane, put your mask on first. And that's what most of us don't do. If I am not healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, I can't give anybody out of a lack, right? If you're thirsty and I have a canteen and I tip it over and it's full of sand, that doesn't help you. I have to be full so that I'm giving from my abundance. So take care of yourself with the intention of making sure that you're able to give to others.
Okay. So, who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is a male from 23 to 65 that has the will, the desire, that knows that they are living below their potential and sees value in somebody advancing their path quicker and safer. As any coach, my whole role is to get you where you were going to get on your own quicker and safer, right? So, and the most important trait is be coachable. Don't think you know it all. Your past successes, all of those make up who you are, but realize that you can benefit from others.
Okay. How do you find your ideal client?
Well, organically. So obviously, social media is huge, especially in the COVID era. So content, always being in front. People are just, our society is next. You've got like 3 seconds to get somebody's attention, and then they're bored and moving on. And the problem is, in our world, perception matters more than reality. So I believe that the greatest coach on the planet never coached an Olympic athlete because people didn't perceive them of that skill level because they weren't able. I know people that are gifted at painting houses or carpentry, but they don't have the ability to sell or put a quote together. So their business fails, right? So it's really, whether we like it or not, nothing happens in this world until something is sold. An idea, a thought, a product, or a service. So sales is where it all comes down to. Now, if you don't follow through and deliver, then that's on you and you deserve whatever bad stuff happens to you. Never overpromise, never underdeliver. Always do what you say you're going to do and then some.
Under commit, over deliver.
Yeah.
Under commit, over deliver.
That's right. Under promise, over deliver. That's right.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful I'm still here. I'm grateful that in spite of all my mistakes, all my shortcomings, all my failures, my ego, I'm blessed. I have 5 wonderful children. I have 3 wonderful grandchildren. I'm still here, and I have my health, and I have the potential to improve my situation and others around me. That's what I'm grateful
Okay. How young are you?
for. I'm still 56.
You are not 56-year young. You are 18-year young with more
I,
than
I
20
with
years.
with 38 years of experience on
Yes.
top of an 18-year-old maturity. Fair enough. I'll accept that, Nishant.
Okay. Who is your ideal mentor?
Um, well, Christ is my ideal mentor. And the great news is that he's alive and well, and he communicates today, right, through his word. From a personal perspective, I really admire Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Just look at what he's accomplished, right? He is the hardest working guy in the room, and he is grateful and he is generous. Um, I, I I admire and respect what he's accomplishing and able to accomplish, and that he still seems to stay grounded in that. So I think that's pretty impressive, right? Because anybody that's put in that situation can certainly be tempted to become not a good human being, right? So I think that's pretty admirable.
Okay. What advice you will give younger yourself?
Ooh, stay out of debt, pay God first, pay yourself second, never touch what you put away, leave it there. 10% of your gross income to God off the top, 10% of your gross income into an investment or a savings, diversify, and don't touch it. It's not yours till you retire. Those are big. And then obviously go to the gym. Go to the gym and enjoy life. Be positive. Be the most positive person you know.
Okay. So, what? How can we support you?
Well, you're supporting me by allowing me to have this opportunity to speak to. How you can support me is anybody that's interested in having a conversation. I always do a no cost 30-minute to 1-minute conversation, just finding out where you are and what you want to accomplish. I always give tips and value and practical things for no cost during that meeting. Um, I I need a platform for public speaking in person or online. So anybody that has a need for that, I teach time management. I teach planning skills, um, training, personal training, health, all of those things, faith, preaching. That would be wonderful. Just contact me.
Okay.
Have people
Okay.
contact me.
What would you like to say about your guest experience on this show?
I love that you have it down. Um, First of all, you're a wonderful person. It's the first time I met you. I did watch some of your other podcasts. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I want to know how I can support you. You stay on task. You keep it directed, and I just think the platform's perfect. Well done.
Okay. What's your final word?
Find somebody worse off than you and help them. Practically help someone. Food, clothing, shelter, a word of encouragement, positive, smile, eye contact. Just be the light because there's so much darkness out there.
Okay. Thanks, Michael, for sharing your wisdom with us. On the behalf
Thanks.
of our community and team, we really appreciate you. Until the
I
next time,
appreciate you.
all good wishes to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure.